Now, of course, Avengers Endgame is coming. I'm seeing it in 1 week. Avengers Endgame is coming. We're all super excited about it. And one of the many things we're all really excited about for Endgame is the fact that we are going to see Stan Lee and again, another one of his cameos. Now, there has been some talk back and forth about when Stan Lee's last cameos. We knew he banked a bunch of cameos. Some of us, like myself, have been kind of going on the assumption that I thought I heard that he had shot a cameo for Spider-Man Far From Home. And I've kind of been operating under the assumption that the final cameo we would see Stan Lee is in Far From Home. However, the Russo brothers have now confirmed that Avengers Endgame will be the final cameo that we see Stan Lee in. Now, they weren't specific about whether or not they didn't record one for Far From Home or whether they did and they've just decided that it's most appropriate for his final one to be in Endgame. They didn't clarify that a lot, but this is going to be his final one. Rob, we've already talked about how in Avengers Endgame, there's probably going to be a lot of cry time in this. You think this is going to add a little bit more oomph? Like once word gets out that this is the final one, that whenever his cameo does appear, is it going to add a little bit more emotional oomph at this point?
I think so. I mean, the opening, how they changed the Marvel Studio logo on Captain Marvel to Stan Lee, even that got me pretty choked up. I wonder if they'll leave that for Endgame, but knowing that when we see Stan for the last time, I'm sure whatever they gave him was an epic send-off cameo. And I mean, even though they didn't know it was going to be, it's definitely going to be bittersweet. But I think it's fitting, John. I think that this is the end of their 22 film cycle. It's called now officially, the 22 films are called the Infinity Saga. And I think it's kind of fitting that Stan Lee's cameos will end with the Infinity Saga because he's in the infinite now. He's moved on into infinity. And there's some kind of something poetic about it. I guess I wonder if he'll say something like Excelsior, like one of his old catchphrases.
I'm still holding on. I think it was one of our viewers that suggested it once, and I've been kind of hooked on it ever since. I'm kind of holding on to this notion that his cameo will be the end of Endgame is going to be Tony and Pepper getting married, and Stan Lee is officiating the wedding. Oh my God, that would be such a good one. I will say this, though. I agree with you that there is a poetic appropriateness for the final appearance to be Endgame. I agree. However, I will say this too. If they did bank a cameo for him for Spider-Man Far From Home, I mean, that would be one last chance to see him one more time. I kind of feel like if they did have that one in the bank, if he did record one for Far From Home, I think they should use it. Now, I completely agree with your reasoning, and it's hard to argue against it. So I'm not feeling super strong one way or the other, but I kind of lean towards that. Man, if they've got one more, then damn it, use one more. But I don't. So let's say for an argument's sake here, Robert, that they do have one banked for Far From Home, and we don't know that they do. But if they did, and you're in charge, Bob Iger calls you as he does every afternoon and says, Rob, do we use that last one, or do we just nice and clean end his appearances with Endgame? What do you suggest to him that they do?
Well, if there was one last one, John, it's Spider-Man. And if for any other hero, I might say, but Spider-Man was so... I mean, all the Marvel characters are unique, but there's something about Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility. I think they should use it. If they've got it, they should use it.
I agree.